So the first question I would ask during this interview would be, each of you ruled during times of challenge. How did you strengthen your state and centralize power? And I believe the first response would be from King Shai, and he would respond with, I focused on stability after conquest. The Qing were Manchu rulers over a Chinese population, so I respected the Confucian tradition, improved administration, reduced taxes, and expanded China's borders. Stability was the foundation of power. And then the next response would be from Solomon, and I believe Solomon would respond to this question with, I expanded territorially and legally, I led military campaigns in Europe and the Middle East, but I also reformed laws so that the empire could function efficiently within, and that is why he is called the lawgiver. And the next response would be from Catherine, and Catherine would respond with, I expanded Russia territorially and modernized its culture. I strengthened the monarchy, encouraged education, and brought Enlightenment ideas to Russia. And then the last response to this question would be from Raoul, and he said, I strengthened France by weakening rivals. I reduced the power of nobles, limited Protestant political power, and he ensured that loyalty came before religion. And now we're going to be moving on to the second question in the interview, which is, religion caused conflict across the world. How did you handle it? And we're going to start off in the same order again. And King Shai is going to respond with, I tolerated multiple beliefs. Confucianism, Buddhism, and even Christianity were allowed as long as they did not threaten the imperial authority within the government. And then the next response again is going to be from Solomon, and Solomon responds with, Islam unified the empire, but tolerance kept it stable. Christians and Jews did pay taxes, but were allowed to govern within their own communities and practice their religion. And then we're going to move on to Catherine's response, which is, religion supported the state. I promoted Orthodox Christianity, but limited church power so it could not challenge the crown. And then Raoul's answer would be, religion was secondary to the state. Even though I was a cardinal, I opposed Catholic powers like Spain when it benefited other countries like France. And that's going to wrap it up for that question. So we're going to go on to question 3, which is, your empires existed in a competitive world. How did you respond to foreign threats? And we're going to start off in the same order again. King Shai answers, through control and caution. China limited European influence to preserve stability. And then Solomon's answer would be, through military strength. Expansion protected the empire, and it demonstrated and showed the Ottoman dominance in the Middle East. And then Catherine's response would be, through expansion and diplomacy, Russia needed warm water ports and influence in Europe. And then Raoul's answer would be, through balance of power, I weakened the Habsburgs to prevent any single power from dominating within Europe. And that's going to wrap it up for that question. And this will be the last question, which is, how should history remember you? And King Shai starts off with, as a ruler who stabilized China and expanded the Qing power in China. And Solomon will respond with, as the peak of Ottoman political, legal, and military strength. And then Catherine would say, as a ruler who turned Russia into a European great power. And then ending off with Raoul, he would say, as the architect of modern centralized state. And that would wrap up the interview. Thank you.